from having a head start on what you're about to do. Because if you're just stuck on writing an essay, instead you just thinking about the ideas instead of it having right before you, your mind is just racing instead of you just looking and writing down notes. So I think the map is very useful in many ways.
It's a great way to obviously get the kids to think. Just putting the information up there in that manner, training their minds to kind of think in a certain way, and then using it as a jumping off point to make the connections, to make them question things. And then definitely, with the writing, it kind of helps them organize and approach things differently.
I think that thinking maps help out a lot because they make you organize your work and they make you jot down good ideas. You could just take like 5 minutes and just jot down your ideas, and then you could just go back and you can make it like you won't waste that much time. In the global regions, you have to write a DBQ essay, and if you like read through the documents, you could probably make a map about it, and you could write stuff about it, and probably from that it will bring you outside information, which will add more points onto your essay.
It also is like a head start. You start with the thinking map. So you put your ideas in it, and then you start writing things in it.
They basically make writing the essay like easier. It just makes it easier for you to write out an essay.
I find it an effective way because it's all your ideas right there and you don't have to think about anything. It's just like your little outlet.
It is easier because it's there already. The map is there. You just move it from the map to the essay.
If you're not really sure, you just use the circle map. Just put all things that come to your head, just put it there. And when you write the essay, you just go back and see your ideas and start writing about it.
From the circle map, that was our starting point, and then we would decide what kind of thinking was involved in the lesson, and from there we would create another map. And it truly would be from the second map that the students would write the essay. Maybe even 2 or 3 maps, depending on what tasks were asked of the essay. Sometimes the essay might ask to categorize something and then to describe cause and effect. So the students would know that would entail 2, maybe 3.
I think it just all depends on what we're doing, in class with kids. I think that I'm geared towards the circle, the multi-flow, and the tree map. I like the frame of reference. I think it's a great jumping point for the kids to make connections and kind of predict and go further in what's on the maps itself, and make connections and to go deeper into whatever the discussion is.
Frame of reference is where you mostly get your information from. Like I would do a bubble map, and around there I make like a little circle or square, and I'll put where I got the information from.
And you could also add that into your essay, where you got your information from.
I know that Ms. Squilanti's class was big on using the frame in different ways. For my class, this particular class, we often use it for citations. They're working on DBQ essays, and you definitely need to cite your documents and prove your evidence from your citations. So we integrated it with the Common Core, and they always would refer back to the citations.
Their essays have to go deeper than just skimming the surface. So, for them, it was better to now predict what could happen because of what was in that map, or make a connection from before. So it just kind of forced them to think and question what was on that map.
Now that we learned what to do and how to use it, it could help out in English or probably science or something, because in those type of subjects, especially English, you have to write essays. So it makes it a little more easier now that we know how to use them properly.
Last semester I had English, so I did use a lot of tree maps in my essays. Something helpful for me. I did.
I think that's interesting to hear that Dolores did that in English, because the English teachers haven't been trained on thinking maps yet. So she took the initiative to go do it on her own. That makes me smile. I have a Smart Scholar history course that I teach, and it's a lot more lecture than in any other course. And I'm lecturing for a good 20 minutes or so, and I know for myself what I used to do is just put some notes, because I would forget too if I didn't have notes in front of me, put some notes on index cards, but they weren't as organized. And now what I am doing is putting them on the tree map, putting them on the multi-flow map, and I find that I can just quickly glance down and continue on with my lecture. So I'm truly using it just as the students would use it.
Because I have a little brother, probably when he like gets up to high school, which is next year, I'll probably tell him about it. So like that, it will make him like writing essays a little more easier.
I'm teaching the AP class, and this was the second year that I'm teaching it, and it was hard for me to explain to them on how to, because they're reading 30 pages, you know, of a boring textbook. So it was hard for me to give them and make them understand that they had to take notes as they were reading, or it wasn't going to work. They weren't going to stick with it. So I think that the thinking maps have helped them now take the notes and organize the information after they've read something. And I'm seeing them more and more. If I give them questions like compare and contrast, or if I'm giving them something where they have to categorize, they're actually handing in homework on their own with the thinking map on it already done, without me even saying you have to use the thinking map.
Before I used to use the maps, like I used to write essays and I used to panic because I didn't know what to say next. And now like the maps make it easier for you to see like what you have to say. You just process things faster, you do it faster.
I feel like the maps give us a head start. Like it gets our brain functioning. When you come to class, we have like a do now. Like if you tell us to do a map, you know, just get it started. And it just helps us better on the essays, and it's easier. Like for me, I don't know, I feel like it's easier, so I prefer the maps.
The thinking maps are very helpful, not only for essays, but for projects. You know, projects, they're big things, and you also get a high grade in projects. And like, it makes you organized, and just like everybody said, gives you a head start.
I think as a teacher, it's definitely, it's taught me a way to kind of help the kids approach an essay. Especially, and I keep going back to the AP because that's where I really used it and introduced it at first the most. Especially with their tasks on their essays, there's major, like a bunch of different components. So it might be analyze, then evaluate. So I think that was a good teaching tool to get me to help them approach those differently.
It helped me teach them how to write an essay, because I'm saying in my head, oh, I'm not an English teacher, how am I going to teach these kids how to write an essay? But it really came in extremely handy to be able to organize. But another good point with the maps, it was a very quick assessment of what they knew, because instead of having to take a long, drawn-out test, you know, if I just needed an exit ticket or a quick quiz to know what do you remember, what do you know, what are you thinking, where are you going, I could choose whichever map pertained to that type of process of thinking, and they could do it very quickly, and I could say, oh, they got it. And it's, you know, I could see that they understand the thinking, and I can see also they understand the content, which is important in history.
Looking at places to have a party at different halls, and I was trying to figure out what you can remember about each place, and I said, I think I could put this in a tree map to kind of, so I can go back later and see it.